so funny. He said mic check.
No.
Oh.
Just asking, Eb. I'm just asking.
Act like I've been on vacation for like a month.
Look.
Oh.
Hello, Facebook. This is the Gray Area. We're live right now. It's your boy Ray Eek.
And this is your boy Pete Wells.
And this is Ebony.
Ebony's in the building, y'all. Now, Ebony,
Oh Lord!
You know
Why
we
y'all
gotta get
come for
started on
me
you.
every time?
because you know we got to get started on you. So
What?
I
What I
you
do?
got your little "I voted." Did you?
Oh yeah, I
You know,
forgot.
that's a nice little sticker.
Kinda.
And did you really vote,
I
or you
did.
just rocking that today?
I did early vote today. I'm so proud.
Okay.
Someone's phone is up. Ebony.
It is mine. And you know what? I actually, I have been saying probably for like 5 shows that I didn't vote the last election.
Yeah.
And I actually did.
Did you?
Yeah.
When did you find out that you actually was voting?
Like today. Like, no, I was like, I think I was talking to somebody. They were like, you did vote. I was like, I did. I know exactly where I went. So I've been kicking myself for not voting and been feeling guilty. You know, the quiet people that didn't vote
Mm-hmm.
and they don't join in the discussions about Trump. That was me. Lo and behold, I voted. Dang,
So,
I
so,
could have been
so all these
debating.
years, yeah. So you've been holding back.
I've been holding back.
We have a very special show today, y'all. 2018 general elections coming up, November the 6th. And we're here to discuss
They all look so serious.
a couple of. We're here to discuss quite a few things. You know, one thing is the black agenda. What is the black agenda? We're here to discuss voting. Should you vote? Should you vote early? Should you not vote? We're here to say why you should vote. And I have a question for y'all. As soon as I get done with this introduction, I got a question for y'all in regards to registration, because I think that's important. A lot of people don't know the importance of registration, and some people say, well, I registered last year, why I got registered again this year? So I'll let y'all break down why that's important. So we have Ashley Gervis is in the building,
Hello.
back with us again.
Thank
Y'all,
you for coming again.
all of our guests have been on the show prior to, so we're bringing them back to have a nice, healthy political discussion.
Healthy.
Healthy, y'all heard that?
Brashawn.
Healthy.
Brashawn.
Hey, listen, man,
Rashawn-
he's been a man of little words for like the last hour. Yeah,
He's been over there plotting.
That's
He
what I'm
writing his
saying.
notes
So-
down.
so
He got his notes.
serious. So
Yeah,
serious.
Brashawn Bond is in the building. What's up, man?
What's happening? What's happening?
Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Ebony,
What?
can you look, see,
I'm laughing at
you know how you see the kids in class and they be, you
She's
gotta give
laughing
them
at
that.
me.
Yes, see?
I'll tell him myself.
Is it your fault?
It's
Eh?
It
Ashley's
is.
fault.
Okay.
I'll take the discipline.
All right. Well,
She's usually a teacher.
you better chill out before I go get Dad. No, you sprint. Adrian Slash is in the building. How you doing?
Lovely.
Would y'all like to discuss and tell people your I don't want to do this. Some things may have changed since last, maybe not. So tell people what your affiliation is with.
So you saying
or
Adrian
your
done
view,
flipped the script? She's a
or your
Democrat
view,
now?
your view on politics.
No, Adrian's with the Green Party now. Is that what you saying?
Well, you can say
No,
Republican. Democrat,
Adrian
whatever.
Adrian is here representing the Indianapolis Urban League, so Adrian is neutral.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Okay,
I heard
Ashley.
that.
I was gonna give you the little ring, like, hey, you're from an organizational standpoint. You can't
Yes.
really say.
I
I have no problem saying I'm a Democrat.
There you go. There you go.
I own it.
Brashawn,
Lifelong Democrat.
lifelong Democrat.
Man, hey, look, he's focused, man.
He
Listen, I'm
is.
afraid of him,
I
man.
know.
Ebony, what's your affiliation?
I'm nonpartisan.
Yeah,
It
we
just-
gonna deal with that.
What Ashley's asking big like.
Today,
No. And
There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, yeah,
Nothing's
yeah.
wrong with
There's
that.
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
yeah. See,
What am I?
today I'm almost in Ebony's position because I really got some questions in regards to both parties, and I'm really like done with both of them. I ain't even gonna lie to you. There's a lot that I felt like has been done on both sides, and I know that people are trying to bring it together. But so I'm here today hoping to go vote and understand some things today. You know, I am gonna vote locally. I think that's really what this general election is about. Really, is to me, it's more of a local deal. So,
We'd love for you to chime in on
Nobody asked me
larger
the hell I
stuff.
am.
yeah, we can chime
Okay, I was
in on
gonna
the
say
larger
we'd
stuff.
love for you to chime in on the other stuff.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I think that's important. But I just want people to know that to me, the most important thing that I want to take away today is the importance of voting locally, because I feel like people don't vote because they don't feel like they can have any effect on it locally or nationally. So, P. Wills, what's your party affiliation? Huh?
If I claimed a party, I would be in
Crips.
These are Jack Elephants. Jack Elephant.
No, I would probably more than likely be an independent right now.
Okay.
If
Okay.
not an independent, then possibly a Republican.
Okay. Oh.
We've had this
Oh.
conversation.
Yeah.
We've had this
Okay.
conversation.
I can see that. I can
We've
see
had this
that.
conversation before.
All right. So okay. Let's
What,
address.
Ray?
Let's
Did you
address.
say what you would be? Oh,
Huh?
you said you would be. You
I'm
trying to figure it
bipartisan
out.
right now. I'm
Oh.
I'm still trying to figure it. I'm more focused on the local stuff. So if I'm going to pay attention to anything, I'm going to pay attention to the individual candidates locally.
Right.
But I want a reason to vote for people, outside of the local.
Can we while we queue up for the discussion, Sam, is it just me?
What's up?
Sam?
It's just
Okay.
you. It's,
Can we go on? And I'm probably super geeked right now. Probably acting like I done had 2-3 cups of coffee plus
have you had
candy
caffeine?
plus I have
You
had
had to?
caffeine.
Okay, uh-oh.
But this is I'm really excited, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you guys have gotten me so excited to just really get involved in politics since our last show, and just watching you guys.
that's what's up.
I'm wow, I know stuff now.
It's exciting.
Not
Mm-hmm.
as much as you guys, but I
Doesn't
know
matter.
You
stuff.
know a lot.
It doesn't matter.
Shoot.
The questions when we be at events,
Uh-huh.
Ebony's asking, I'm like, you know more than what you put out there.
I know.
But
Uh-huh.
and I think the biggest thing is, at the whole, for my political engagement, it was injustices in the community. And I'm not afraid at all to ever share that, because when Trayvon Martin happened, and I always talk about it, I looked in this crowd of thousands of individuals like, where are the elected officials? Had the audacity to be like, what's the stand your ground law? They're making the laws. Do we have that law in the state?
Yeah.
And little did I know my elected official was out there. They were an everyday person.
Wow.
And so to see that and then know the issues that happen in our community, it's not just one lens, it's the collective lens. That's how we find out our political typology. Is it justice? Is it freedom? Is it economics? What mobilizes you?
Right.
And that's how you define really where you fall on the
Sure.
political
Sure.
scale.
Rashawn, what's lifelong Democrat? What got you to be a Democrat? What was the thing that?
I mean, like I said last time we were here, just the way I see the world. The Democratic Party is a party that kind of rejects the concept of nationalism or, rugged individualism. Anybody who knows history knows that that's not the way that people are successful. We are all in this together. It's a concept where if you're hurting somehow, some way in society, I'm going to be hurting. But if I can provide not hand-ups or not handouts, but if I can provide you an opportunity to empower yourself, you take advantage of that and you somehow become successful, that ripples out to the community, and we all become better as a result of you doing better. That's liberalism at its core. And if you look on the other side of the coin, with all love to Adrian right here, but if you look on the other side of the coin, that's not the narrative that they talk. The narrative that they talk is, well, you heard it last time when Abdul was here. I'm concerned about my bottom line, my money, what I can do, what concern, and that just is the polar opposite of the way I see the world. I have to say, there's nothing in the Republican Party of today as it is presently constituted, with its present leaders and the message that they're sending. There's nothing in the Republican Party for black people. There just isn't. I mean, unless your name is Kanye, there's really...
Kanye said he was used today, so...
He said he was
Today, Kanye believes he was used.
Really?
So
that's a
he
new
finally
discussion.
realized
Today. So
drink
that's
the
what he said
tea.
today.
Today.
He finally realized the sunken place.
I think somebody flashed him. possible.
Oh.
Probably.
Whoa.
Somebody flash.
Somebody flashed.
Kanye feels like he's been used.
He said this. This is real.
He still can't come to the cookout.
He's
though.
still not invited to the cookout. No.
But Rashawn, why is
He
Emarosa
brings the
invited to the
pumpkin pie
cookout
and not the
though?
I'm
sweet
sorry, she
potato.
better.
Because
Why
he
not?
brings the pumpkin pie and not the sweet potato.
Yeah, he can't come.
He bring the macaroni with the raisins in it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ashley just sent us a link. What'd you send us? Ashley?
Okay, so as much as I like opinion, it's always good to provide education along
Yes.
the way.
She
so
loves her facts.
I'm all about facts. So the thing in the actual link
Sure.
shows a political typology quiz,
Mm.
and it's from Pew Research Center, which is a very, very credible, nonpartisan research aspect, and that's something you can use to really see where you align. And what you
Okay.
see is not just Democrat, it's not just Republican, red and blue. It's a full spectrum.
It asks you questions,
It asks
and then
you
it helps you
specific
define who you really are
Yep,
and
and
what
then
you affiliate with.
yeah, and then the findings that'll actually tie it to others that have taken it percentage wise, and you'll see we're all across the board.
Right.
Like
Right.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think that that's one of the places where you start to get around, like, what's the Black agenda, and you
Right.
start getting to the point of where do we fall. I think that both parties, in a lot of ways, their talking figureheads
Right.
have gotten so far away from where it is that we fall for soundbite politics
Right.
that it would just behoove us to do our best research on all the candidates and see
Yeah.
how they can cooperatively work together
Right.
Yeah.
and try to put together our best possible ballot to get that work done.
Right. As a person who is, I would consider myself on the outside looking in because I'm not directly involved with politics. I would be a person who is trying to decide the vote. My perspective on Republican versus Democrat is that it's like it's more they're more for money. This is just me. They're more for money and building businesses, which is great because I'm a business owner too, and I'm all for the tax breaks and all that stuff. But I feel like there is a thin line between accepting immoral behavior and, you know, wanting to have a lifelong legacy, building your business or
But
whatever.
you see, like, I think that that's where I was
100%.
going with that whole conversation around,
Sure.
you have to really deal with who a talking figurehead is versus the base.
Okay.
And versus the real base, not
The
like,
real base.
not the current base, but you
Okay.
have to pay real attention, and that's why I think that there's so many people who have decided that they're gonna vote based off of what their interests are, by candidate, individually, independently, up and down the ballot. And it's because I think that there are a lot of current talking figureheads who are using the power that they have to do
They're
whatever it
using
is that they
hatred,
want.
division, and all these things to
Yeah,
get
and I think
people
that
to get behind them.
instead of actually dealing with what the bottom line looks like of what people have to deal with on a day-to-day basis,
Right.
ego is a really hard thing to like turn down,
oh yeah.
right? Like, and so I think that that's where you have
Somebody constantly stroking your ego.
the mighty and wonderful Gen Z who's like, nah,
Sure.
we're good on
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think that
right.
we need to all get really excited about the mighty and powerful
Yes,
Gen
we
Z that's
should.
on their way
Yes,
up,
we
because
should.
Yeah.
they are very, very interested in genuine people,
Yes,
and they
are.
don't like flip-floppy politics.
Mm-hmm.
And we as a people shouldn't like flip-floppy politics
Right.
either, and we should all be in the accountability space. And I think that it takes an election cycle like 2016, 17, and 18 to get us back to a place where we might have been, you know, during the civil rights movement, of fully indoctrinating ourselves in what all the candidates are saying, what they're doing, and what bills are coming down the
Right.
line, and relearning the system
Right.
so that we can actually go out and after our own interests.
Right. Now, people always say this: Republican Party used to be Democrat, Democrat Party used to be Republican. Why has it really flipped?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we started as a people as Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Do I
MLK
think?
was a Republican.
Do I think that? Do I think
Well,
that?
he never came out.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Do I think that the folks who were Republicans back then would align with where the party is today? No. Same way Democrats probably wouldn't align today either.
But why
Right.
were they Republicans though? Because it was during segregation.
It was the stance
I mean,
really of running it.
So
No, you
let's
can go ahead.
let's be clear about something. The name Democrat and Republican is a sideshow. The concept is liberal and conservative.
Okay.
And Republicans at one point were liberal. There was a liberal thinking among Republicans.
What was that thinking?
Well, take for instance the abolition of slavery.
Okay.
That had to be. Conservatives would say each state has their own rights. Like I said before, rugged individualism. I do what I want.
Right.
If I'm Mississippi, I get to keep slaves, even if you in New York don't want to keep slaves. A liberal agenda, which, like I said before, is all of us together, is if we are the federal government, we're telling you as a nation, this is wrong, and we're going to abolish it. That's a liberal way of thinking. So although Abraham Lincoln was quote unquote a Republican, he was liberal in his concepts. And what happened along the way, somewhere in the 50s and 60s, there became this thing called a Southern strategy, where it was decided that if you could demonize certain groups, if you could use certain catchphrases, because the sort of flip that. And there were people like this guy named Lee Atwater and other conservative strategists who decided we're going to take a more states' rights, a more individual position in terms of, hey, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You need to, there started to be catchwords like welfare queens and the war on drugs and all of these things, which shifted the Republican Party to a more conservative, white focused agenda, whereas Democrats began to be more liberal in their thinking. So it's not really that Republicans as a concept was ever liberal. They weren't. The question of whether Dr. King was Republican or Democrat is not the right question. Was he liberal or was he nothing? There's not one relate to me one position that Dr. King in the present day Republican Party, be it militarism, be it prison industry,
missing and dancing around a little bit is just one piece. There were ecos of people that were talking figureheads of parties that transitioned the parties. And I really do think that it's extremely important for us to pay attention that the people who are voting, parties who are putting up candidates, have responsibilities to put up people who will do what is best for people and not for themselves. Exactly. And we've done such a good job at taking these charismatic leaders and giving them our lives. And so both parties have not put up great candidates.
People have settled for entertainment.
Yes, and both parties have not put up great candidates. So great candidates are people who are public servants who are getting up to do the work for everyday people. And they're not there for their interests. But once you get there, power gets to people.
Yep. And I think it also comes to that we've dummied down the process and the political aspects of its importance every single day. That's why you have individuals like 45, I don't even like saying his name, or others that have seen them being able to mobilize people to feel like they're easily able to come in and impact the process. It doesn't work that way. So like the fact, like, I mean, I get what you're saying, Rashawn, but I do want to clarify one aspect with jobs. We have to look at the unionization aspect that MLK stood for as well, which is more or less what he's trying to indicate.
Dr. King would be talking about living wages. He would be talking about equal opportunity for all employment. He would not be championing the fact that he would not be championing the fact that there is a low unemployment rate, but African Americans are double that. That people who are returning citizens from incarceration are being disenfranchised. That women are being paid lower. That is the Republican talking point. That there are jobs out there. Yes, there are jobs out there, but there is still systemic barriers for people of color to get those jobs.
But what we have to realize on a whole, that we, in our lives, we do not allow just the governmental process to dictate how we live. It's the intersection of what we believe culturally. It's also on top of it in our defined geographical areas. Say, for instance, Indianapolis, no stoplights. No stop signs, nothing, no rules. Who would help regulate the people depending on the racial lines? Give us order. So what we have to realize, and I get to what you're saying, as far as speaking up for the least lonely left out, that's how I look at it. Who's going to speak up for those? Or are we speaking for ourselves? And even with that, we have to take it to another caliber. We cannot continue to sit out of the process because, and I always say this, like the late Bill Crawford always said, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so the laws will always continue to afflict us until we get in and participate. Sure, there are always going to be them critics, and we know there are critics out there. They're like, no, it's always going to be systemically like that. But I would rather take the risk of be in it to help influence it, learn it, what's going on, the ins and outs, the weaknesses, the strengths, and let you know to your face if it's wrong or not, than to continue to allow things to keep us disenfranchised.
And also, when it comes to business enterprise, is it totally the government's fault or our elected officials' fault that that we don't have jobs in the Black community? Is it completely their fault, or should this be something that we are actually, like you said, we're at the table? Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to employment, it's collective, and also I said the other day in regards to the Black agenda, and I want to get into that, later or whenever, first of all, any politician that says any politician that outright says I have a Black agenda, in my opinion, is not going to win, because you can't outright say I have a Black agenda. However, if any politician is
when you say the Black agenda, what do you mean by
and that's the thing, there is none. Like, to me it's a myth, because first of all, Black issues and Black systemic issues is a combination of so many different things. Mental health, mass incarceration, unemployment, all those things. So if you have a politician, whether it's Republican, Green Party, whoever, whose priority is employment, then that will solve a problem, or that will at least help the Black agenda, because employment for the majority is going to be employment for us. And even for businesses to have if Republicans are all about business, enterprise, and industrialization, okay, then therefore let's have more Black businesses. Let's benefit from that priority. And then ultimately hire more Black people.
And the opportunity in order to do that. See, as far as like the abolitionist movement and all of that, but that's the same government that created the whole 3/5 of free, just based on good or so. Like the first, or most of the leaders came, from the South, so the North got mad. It happened to free the slaves because they had a good heart. Lean more towards being a Republican. If anyone knows me, they know I'm a giver anyway. Okay, businesses in my household, in my life, and if I want to give to people, I govern my life.
Yeah.
And I think with Black people, on government to do everything for us.
Well, so I got a follow-up to that you said. But in the current time, in the current state of where we're at, we're not there. So we have to realize what affiliation, what political typology is fighting for what you're saying.
And I would argue that it's not that. I would argue that you need to. It really is as tough and as difficult as it sounds. It is person by person.
Yeah.
Because we can't trust parties to pick a full slate of people.
See, that's
exactly what I did today.
That's that conservative way of thinking. The truth is, we are a nation. We're not individuals. We are a nation. And Enron, as we know from time after time, there has to be a federal regulation to keep regulations that Republican senators right now who say, well, yes, slavery was wrong, but technically they shouldn't have overstepped their bounds. It shouldn't have been a federal. It shouldn't have been a federal executive order, because that's overstepping. See, that's the mind state.
But I think that you missed what I was saying.
And without federal regulations, you wouldn't have a Department of Education. You wouldn't have an EPA. You wouldn't have. You know what I'm saying?
There has to be some type of balance.
Yeah,
and
not an overstep. I'm not saying overreach.
But
we need certain levels of regulation, because if we don't, we have seen time and time again, there are groups, entities, counties, states who will overstep their bounds as far as violating our civil rights.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that you missed my point that I was attempting to make. The point I was attempting to make is, in order to
That's interesting.
there's always a flawed candidate somewhere on that slate. And because of that, it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we are paying attention to our best interest candidate by candidate for that reason. Because parties, and you can ask members of every party, they'll be like, you know what, yeah, we probably shouldn't have put that guy up, but nobody else wanted to run, we didn't want to leave it unchallenged, right?
Right.
It becomes a thing. And that's the danger to our community, is the person who wins a seat but is unqualified for a job, has not any of our best interests in mind. We cannot hold them accountable because they're just thankful to have won. They don't even feel like they have to go to the meetings, or they don't really feel like they have to really do the job. They can actually collect their check and not do their work on our behalf. But they won because we trust the party. And so, we might not have a black agenda, but the black agenda ought to be looking for accountability and making sure that our community is
Tell
okay.
us, if you guys can tell us, what is the black agenda? What do you think that is?
So
if it exists.
But before we do that, I put in the thread a link to a piece of history that we continuously look over all the time, right in our own backyard of Indiana, the home of one of the most vicious white supremacist groups. We were able to overcome that in our own state. 1972, there was the National Black Political Convention, right? That alone, it didn't matter if you were a liberal, conservative, grassroots, power to the people, whatever. They came together and came up with a shared understanding and a shared commitment to help impact the political process. That's where we're at today. Now, I get what you're saying, Adrian, as far as the one-on-ones, as far as how we look at candidates. Absolutely, yes. But I will tell you this, just as much as I will say I'm Democrat, because I love the people that uphold the values of equality, access to making sure things are just, are right, and taking care of the big tent, you better believe I am not raising hell just with Republicans. I'm raising hell within my own party.
And I applaud you for it. That's the piece. Like that's the important piece that we have to watch out for ourselves that way.
Yeah, that's how we take care of it.
Yeah, and my question is,
and put up candidates that automatically fit our means.
And that means, I might have a column out this weekend that says this. We have to fight our parties to make sure that we're putting up best possible candidates, that there is representation from people who look like the city that are up there. It needs to be reflective. And right now I'd be willing to say that there's a line on each side, and that we've got some great candidates that want their opportunity and they're not going to get them because they don't look like leadership.
And that's why you
have the money.
Yeah, I mean, we ran a campaign that took everybody within my party, told us we couldn't win, told us that once we lost it, they would run us out of town. There would never be any opportunity within the party for us. I'm talking about people in my party. And we beat their ass, plain and simple. And the blueprint has been laid as it relates to grassroots brothers and sisters who want to run and get elected. I can't wait for 2019. It's going to be like the young and the restless, because there are individuals who are chomping at the bit.
Jack Abbott or Victor Newman.
Man, I got to go with the stash. No, I didn't go with the stash. But there has been the blueprint of victory for grassroots individuals who are young, black and brown, with progressive ideas. The blueprint has been laid for them to win. The path to victory has been laid. I cannot wait for 2019.
But I do want to say this along with that, though. We set up our people for failure if we do not give them the tools and trades and understanding about what the public process is to understand what they're going to come up with in the political. I need you to at least know the levels of government, how the process works as far as when a bill becomes a law, and also, too, to not lose their steam if, for instance, they fail, to be able to come back and still be with their people. we're setting up people for failure if we're like, their main role is just to be a candidate. We need to be able to own the fundraising process, to be able to be the messaging. We need to be able to understand the policy making, and in particular, being able to run the campaigns and then convert to be chiefs of staff.
Yes.
So I get what you're saying. We need to be able to have that collective of young, refreshing voices. But we have to realize too, it is all the means of, again, collectiveness of how we make that happen, and not jump the boat without having crucial conversations within, addressing conflicts, and then that's how we prevail.
Yeah, I think our biggest, the biggest interest that we have for getting the young, scrappy, and hungry new wave of folks into political office is they also need to fully understand what the job is and make sure that they have everything that it takes to do it, plus receipts. Like the biggest problem that we have is we pick up names that are great, right? Like they're wonderful names. They know people.
And you find out
They know
they had a
people,
record.
and they look good in a suit. But then there's something about them that they haven't actually been willing to be transparent about. And you got to make sure they can do that. We got to make sure that in the current mode that we're in, we have to be willing to say, you know what, you're my friend. I think that you're great. I think that your energy is awesome.
My bougie alarm is going off because it sounds to me like
bougie.
Saying,
No. There's nothing bougie.
Let you guys finish. Let me finish.
No.
It sounds to me like, listen.
It's a bougie alarm.
This is not. There's nothing bougie at all. It's about respecting the fact that we need to be able to identify people and the gifts that they got. How they are able to mobilize people does not transition without the proper training and ability to know where things are, so we pick up and push forward more. If one leaves, one replaces. And on top of that, I'm being real right now, we cannot sit up there and make them win thinking, oh, let's win this campaign, then
but they're not prepared to do the work.
and then we set them up to fail not only that seat, but then them being a leader on their own.
So the premise
Let's be real.
The premise of this,
that's like saying Kanye come be in this council seat
because you can win it.
You can move people,
you can win
but you can't move them ballots. Nor are you moving the bill through the process.
The premise of this bombardment seems to suggest that those of us who are interested in putting new, fresh candidates up are choosing unqualified people, or choosing, you gotta let me finish.
Okay, I'm gonna let you finish because we can talk. We can have that final one-on-one in person. After this, because someone continues to neglect it and wants to put this out online.
It seems to
because you know how to be real with you. No, I mean it's deeper than this.
I know.
Go ahead, bro. We are looking for candidates who are unqualified.
Cool. I'm just passionate about my work.
Who are unqualified, or who, if they are elected, cannot do the work. What I have seen.
She's very passionate.
We
she's
can look,
good.
We can look across the country, whether it be Alexandria Ocasio, whether it be Stacey Abrams, whether it be Gillum down in Florida, and on and on and on.
They need the political process and policy making process.
These aren't individuals who have this sort of Carlton from Fresh Prince image. Okay, if I'm going out
Carlton,
let Brashawn finish.
If I'm going out to,
I'm mad at that bougie statement, and sometimes
and we're gonna give you a chance
because off right now. Because if people were really interested in understanding the means and gaps and abilities, we don't sit up there and say there's only one person and the person needs to be in a political process. I need you to understand, if you're good in the streets, talk to the person in the political process first, then converge, make an agenda. That's the black agenda, and everybody else is straight.
So
that's all I'm asking
for.
I
found.
Let's hear Brashawn, and then you can rebut.
What I've found is that the people who are most qualified are the people who have actually had lived experiences. So if I'm going to go to, for instance, talking about what Ebony mentioned with the black agenda, part of the black agenda, you can't have a black agenda if you're not talking about reentry. You can't have a black agenda if you're not talking about relationships between law enforcement and communities of color. It would behoove us as a party to begin including the voices of people who have actually had those lived experiences. And if that individual or individuals had at one time sagged their pants, if that individual talked a little slang, man, if that individual at one point in their lives been to the joint, if they have made a conscious decision to be a contributing member of the political process and they feel like they have what it takes to be an elected official, simply because they got a little dirt under their fingernails, does not disqualify them from holding elective office. And in fact, in the hood, where we are trying to engage voters who have been systemically phased out of the political process, the brothers and sisters who got a little dirt under their fingernails are the ones who are going to get the most credibility. It's certain politicians don't even go to 42nd and Post, don't even go to Carriage House East, don't even go to La Hacienda, can't even speak Spanish, and would run from a brother who was sitting in his house with a house arrest bracelet on and a Glock on the table. They wouldn't even go in there. It's the brothers and sisters who can relate to them, who can actually engage with them on their level, and then begin tweaking them, then maybe I should be beginning involved in the political process. Those are the people who we should begin engaging and pushing them, if they have the qualifications, to run for office. So I don't get all that.
So, but
Let me make sure I'm understanding.
There's
Let me make sure I'm
nothing wrong
following
with that,
both
but
of
I
y'all.
need you to be able to know how a bill becomes a law, how to read legislation, to be able to do the research to find out where the flaws
People
are.
aren't
If you
stupid.
can't even do that, or
People
know
aren't
what the
stupid.
process
So
is,
let me make sure I understand both
we
of
got to
you.
be
So,
doing that educational bit, and
Gotcha.
we're not giving the
so
education
Brashawn
to
is
them.
saying. So Brashawn is basically saying that
It
just like
comes in the
because I think
convergence.
when based off of Brashawn's statement, I think
I
about
feel
like
it.
one of my sheroes in education and politics, which is Linda superintendent. Former superintendent, yeah.
Glenda Ritz.
Belinda Ritz, and how she went from a media specialist or a media person in the
She's a regular
library,
person.
you know, to a politician. Now I don't know if she knew the process or not
She did.
beforehand.
She did.
That's the backstory
She
I
had to
don't
educate
know.
Very
herself
much-
on the process.
She was
Okay.
very
So-
much.
She had
knew
people
the
around
internal
her.
process.
She had people around her. to
Gotcha.
show her
Not
how to-
just
So-
campaign process either.
Gotcha.
They
But what
knew
happens
the
and then what-
public, the public policy, the official capacity to be able to say, "I know how a bill becomes a law."
Gotcha.
If you can't sit
So
up
what
there and
you're
know
saying
that,
actually
I need
is-
you to be hood with the dirt under your nail
And be vetted at the same
hands-on,
time.
empathy. I understand,
Yeah.
but also be able to translate that message into how a bill becomes a law.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it gets passed. If not, we sit up there and run the most
Yeah.
perfect campaign, but drop them off, not following the process. We set everybody up for failure.
And
I'm
I
saying
agree
it's
with
the
that.
intersection to what is